let me find my list. I may be talking about whether or not knitters can be minimalists, but I don't know that I'm very successful at being one. Oh, it's on my phone. Hey everybody, my name is Nicole. Welcome to the Pine Cottage. Today we are going to try to answer the question, can knitters be minimalists? I don't know. I've mentioned on this channel before that I try to practice concepts of minimalism in my life. I do that as a tool because minimalism does not come naturally to me. I am someone who likes to collect things. I'm someone whose brain is very noisy and all over the place, and I use minimalism as a tool to keep things simple. I guess instead of calling myself a minimalist, I would say I'm more of an advocate for simple living or slow living. I'm going to share a book with you guys. This is a book by Janet Lurs. It's called The Simple Living Guide, which, I mean, you might think is kind of silly, but I found this book thrift shopping one day and I was like, oh, that, you know, whatever, it was 50 cents. Like, I'll read it, and if I don't like it, then I'll donate it again for someone else. You guys, I've read this so many times. I have my little notes here. It's highlighted, it's underlined. I have pages falling out. It is something that I return to over and over and over again. If I feel myself kind of falling off the wagon, so to speak, if I'm becoming overwhelmed, like I've brought too many things into the house, or I've committed myself to too many social things or work things, I always come back to this book because it realigns me with where I want to be. There are 14 chapters, and the very first chapter is about time. When I talk about slow living or simple living with people, I mostly talk about living simply with my time. Over the years, I've had friends, acquaintances, other women say to me, why don't you ever want to go out to dinner? Why don't you ever you need friends. Like, why don't you ever want to do this or do that? You need friends in your life. Well, I don't doubt that I need friends in my life, but I choose the people who I want to spend my extra time with. And when my extra time is limited, the first people that I choose to spend my time with are my husband and my children. So if there's time left after that, then it's going to be my parents. And if there's time after that, then I get to choose the people that I want to surround myself with. And I just think it's funny sometimes when people take ownership of your time. But I think it was the book Essentialism by Greg McKeown. He said something like, if you don't take control of your time, someone else will. I'm paraphrasing, and I think it was him. It might have been someone else, but it's very true. If you don't take ownership of how you spend your time, someone else is going to fill your time with what they want it to be. And I'm not okay with that because I really value my time. We have limited amounts of it in this life, and I think it's important to choose how you're going to spend it. Minimalism for me, a huge chunk of it is about how I spend my time. So even here, you know, when I'm making these videos every month, it's not full of all these finished objects because I'm not knitting 12 hours a day, you know. I'm spending time with my family and my kids and my parents, and I'm working, you know, and helping other people. I'm spending time in my garden alone and quiet or reading. I'm choosing to spend my time how I want to spend my time. And I love coming here to share with others who enjoy their creative outlets as well. But I never feel pressure by anyone to make more or to do more or to spend more time here, because I don't leave room for people to pressure me. I am confident now in my ability to say no, thank you. I am confident in my ability to say, this is how I'm choosing to spend my time. I'd love it if you could join me, but if you're busy spending time how you want to spend your time, it's okay. I don't take offense. Time well spent it should be chapter number 1. There's a section in this book with the title Reclaiming Our Time. And it says, how do we look at time in a new way? Here are some ideas. Number 1, take a close look at intimacy. 2, adopt a new attitude. 3, do one thing at a time. A lot of books that I read on this subject will talk about multitasking and how this whole world is obsessed with multitasking. And maybe we shouldn't be. Maybe we should be devoting all our energy and our focus and our love and our time on one thing at a time, because then we are genuinely listening. If we are meeting with someone and having coffee, we are engaged with that other person. We're not on our phones. We're not, watching the person at the next table. We're interacting with each other and giving each other our undivided attention. So if we want to do something well, we should be giving all our focus to that one thing at a time. Number 4, think of time as sacred. Absolutely, I do. Number 5, question time-saving gadgets. This one for me is huge, because as I'm learning more about gardening and cooking meals from scratch and baking bread, I don't want to use a bread machine. I don't want to use a KitchenAid mixer. I want to knead that dough by hand. And there's such a satisfaction and a rhythm that comes with that I don't think you get any other way. My mom, she's funny. She does this, I think, without even realizing. She loves to wash dishes by hand. She still uses her dishwasher sometimes, but more times than not, she is standing at that sink hand washing her dishes. And while I hate hand washing dishes, there's something that can be said for that rhythm, that just your hands are working, and our hands were created to be put to work. I think it just makes sense to be able to appreciate things when it takes a little bit more effort to do them. Look at the big picture. Number 7, leave your job at work. And number 8, religious or not, rest one day a week. I think it's very important to rest one day a week, and to have a day where nothing is planned, where you can just be and choose at the drop of a hat what you feel like doing at any given moment. It's important for our brain, it's important for our soul, our mind, our bodies, our hearts. I just really think rest is essential. This book is just so many things. It talks about simplifying your finances. It talks about simplifying your home, simplifying your time, simplifying your food. It talks about simplifying travel. Having said all of that, I use minimalism to keep me from going completely bonkers, because if I didn't institute these things that we're going to talk about, I would be very stressed out. I would be very crabby. I would be very anxious, probably depressed. It just helps me. One of the first things that I wrote down here was, can knitters be minimalists? The first point was creatives and their stuff. So I am a creative person. This is just who I was created to be. This is me. Have been my whole life. I've been someone who will hone in on a project and spend the entire day doing it, and time will fly by and I won't even realize it. Learning how to draw, I collected all the tools, the paper, the pencils, the erasers, the whatever to learn how to draw. When I was into painting, I had the easel and the paints and all the things. When I was learning to crochet, same thing. Knitting, same thing. Photography, all the equipment. And I'm also a writer, so books. I have books everywhere, and I am a long-term, for the rest of my life, reader. These are things that I own that I do not plan on getting rid of, but I need to keep them dialed down. I need to have a place for them. They need to have a home. They can't just be scattered around. I mean, yes, while I'm using them, they might be, but they have to have a place to be returned to. I think that you still can be successful in living a slow, simple life with minimal aspects of your life and still be a creative person and do creative things. Again, I don't believe in labeling yourself. I don't think that saying, oh, I'm a minimalist means that my house has to be like empty with the exception of a few pieces of furniture, white walls. That's not what minimalism is to me. To me, it's only having the necessary things with things that bring you joy without excess. For me, because I'm not naturally someone who's a minimalist, sometimes it does get to the point where I have excess and then I have to say, oh, this is too much. This is overwhelming. I need to get rid of some of this, whether I donate it or give it to a friend or sell it or whatever I do. As I've mentioned before, I keep all of my yarn and my knitting tools in the other room. All my yarn fits into one dresser, one chest dresser. So if the yarn cannot fit in those drawers, I am not allowed to buy any more yarn. That is a rule that I instituted to keep things down, keep things from exploding and getting out of hand. All of the tools that I have for knitting go in that closet in that room. And someday I'll show you the closet. The closet's full of scrapbooking materials, drawing, painting materials, knitting materials, sewing. The sewing machine is in there. Anything that has to do with being crafty or crafting or photography, all is in that closet. My books are throughout the house because books I feel like should be accessible to anybody who wants to read them. Books are, words are life. They're amazing, and I never want to hide those away in a place or necessarily even on a shelf. I have books on side tables, I have books on shelves, I have books on tables, they're everywhere, and it's okay with me. I prefer to buy actual books over digital reading or Audible books. I do have a Kindle. I do have some audio books that I have listened to while I knit, but I still prefer to actually read the book because I'm someone who's going to highlight and make notes in the margins and say, oh, come back to this, you know, mark this. If I'm writing something and there's a author who I admire, I'm going to go back to that book and read my margin notes and get some ideas and learn from them. Basically, minimalism is a tool to keep my life tidy, and what tidy means for me may not be what tidy means for you. So that's something that you get to define for you and for your family. For me, that means that sometimes it's just an absolute mess around here because if I'm working on a project, or my daughter, who has the same kind of brain as me, is working on a project, there's just stuff everywhere. And when we're finished, we'll clean it up. And that's okay. It's okay to make a mess in this house. We just have to clean up when we're done. And when we're done might be later that day, or it might be later that week. It just depends on the project. I like to leave room for creativity and imagination, but I also don't want to be overwhelmed by things. Some of the things that I do to keep the non-creative aspects of our home tidy is I have a capsule wardrobe. So I only have a small number of items of clothing. So I have one pair of jeans, I have one pair of black pants, I have like 3 pairs of shoes total, maybe 4 if you count flip-flops. The only thing that I don't limit really are t-shirts because I sleep in them, I work out in them, and I lounge around in them throughout the house. They're just like my cozy clothes. Probably have like 10 or 12 t-shirts, and I probably could purge those because I only wear like 2 or 3 of them. But maybe, you know, if you guys are interested, someday I'll show you my capsule wardrobe. It's really just not that interesting, I don't think. But when I was deciding to do this, because I had an obscene amount of clothes and shoes before, I know I liked to watch videos about that. So let me know if that's something you'd like to see. We don't have dressers in every room for our clothing. My husband insists on keeping this one, and it's full of his clothes. He has more clothes than actually any of us in the house. The other three of us have a small capsule wardrobes, and we have one laundry basket. Each person has a laundry basket, so we don't keep like a hamper in the bathroom or the laundry room. We just each have a laundry basket, and when that's full, you do your laundry, and then you fold it and you bring it back and put it away. It makes things really easy because we don't have a whole lot of laundry then. We have bath towels. Each of us have a bath towel, and each of us have a beach towel, and that's kind of it. So at one time, we had upper cabinets with doors, and that's where all the dishes lived. And I knocked that down. First, I took off the doors and just had them open, and then I just knocked it completely down. So now I have one floating shelf where we keep bowls and cups, which are just mason jars. And then our plates are just enough for us, and they go in the bottom of the island. I have one cabinet for pots and pans and one cabinet for like bakeware and like food containers to take to work for lunch, you know, those kinds of things, and the kids' lunchbox. And that's it. But I don't have like china or fancy glasses. I don't even have drinking glasses. Like I said, we just have mason jars. I have 4 wine glasses because we're not big drinkers. Some coffee mugs. Some of the things that I do might be considered zero waste. I'm not zero waste, but I do practice some things that correlate with minimalism that are zero waste just because it makes sense. Like the cloth napkins. I don't feel the need to use a paper towel for everything, or to waste a paper towel to wipe your mouth or to wipe your hands. Like, we just use cloth napkins and wash them. The other thing that I do to keep things minimal is I use the same soap for shampoo, body wash, hand soap, face wash, shaving cream, counter spray, dish detergent. And that is Dr. Bronner's Castile soap. It's 1 bottle of soap that you can use for all of those things. It's awesome, and I don't think I'll ever do anything different. You can get different scents if you want. I do like to use the almond scent for body wash, face wash, shaving cream, hand soap, but I like the orange for the counter spray and the dish soap because it's citrusy, but in a pinch I'll use whatever, it doesn't matter. I use foaming hand dispensers because then you use less and it lasts longer. We have a donation station in the laundry room, and I just have a big bag that I keep in there, and anything that we no longer want or need, we throw in there, and then I just take it to be donated. So once it's full, it leaves the house. For a long time, I felt like I was constantly at Target, especially when the kids were little. I'd have to go get diapers or whatever. And I would come home with all these bags. And I remember thinking, I keep coming in with armloads of bags, but I never leave the house with armloads of bags. Eventually, we're gonna be buried in stuff. That's kind of when the light bulb went off. And so now I just want to go out of the house with more than I bring in. I like to try to keep surfaces bare. Anytime there's a counter, a dresser, a kitchen counter, an end table, any kind of flat surface in the house, someone inevitably thinks it's their job to just leave something there. And it drives me crazy. I like to have nothing there. I don't own trinkets or statues or things you have to dust. I don't want those. I don't want to have to do extra work. So it makes it very easy to see when something's out of place, because the surfaces should be bare with the exception of maybe a lamp or an essential oil diffuser or something like that. So if something is there, I can see that it's out of place, and either I put it away or I have the kids put it away or my husband. We just keep it bare. I don't buy seasonal decor anymore. I loved shopping for fall. decorations, Christmas decorations, Halloween decorations, spring decorations, and it was really a big waste of money. I have my favorites. If I buy something, it has to be something that I like even more than something I already own, and I have to swap it out. So if one new thing comes in, one old thing's gotta go. But really overall, I feel like you should have what you want to have and what's going to inspire you to live the life that you want. I want to live a slow, peaceful, quiet, creative life. I want to talk about some knitting. I usually don't talk about the projects that I'm working on mid-month, but I am going to talk about my 2 at a time attempt on. I told you in my July update that I wanted to attempt 2 at a time socks. I am a DPN sock knitter all the way, but I was definitely suffering from second sock syndrome often, and I thought that instead of doing 2 socks concurrently, I would try the magic loop method 2 at a time. And this is where I am so far. Not very far, but I worked on this on our last camping trip. So I got them cast on. I did 2x2 ribbed cuffs, and then I'm just doing stockinette in the round. And this yarn is a Farmer's Daughter fiber sock set. And I think this is, I don't remember the colorway. I'll have to find the tag. It's somewhere. The dog tried to chew it up, but I saved it and it's somewhere around this house. So anyway, I was posting some things on Instagram about, do I think that I'll continue doing this? What am I going to do when I get to the heel? Am I just going to like take them off and put them on DPNs to do the heels? Because I think that's going to be really confusing. But the more I think about it and the more I kind of wrap my brain around it, I feel like I'm going to be able to do it. Sometimes when things are new and different and scary, I just put them out of my mind. I don't even want to think about them. I don't even want to try them. And it takes me a good while to revisit those thoughts and patterns and really think it through. And then when I know that I'm capable of doing it, only then will I try it. So I feel like I'm really close to that point. We're going camping again in a couple days, so I will be taking this with me to see if I can accomplish that. The other thing that I'm working on is my Eastport Raglan tee that I will be posting a video about at the end of the month. It's coming along nicely. I'll just show it to you real quick. So I'm not going to go into detail about it because, as I said, I'm making a separate video on that, but I will just show you the current state. So I did split for the sleeves, and now I am just knitting around for the body. I'm so tempted to make this long sleeved because I love the color and I love how this yarn is knitting up. I love that there are like bluish tones to the brown. I think it'll look so good with jeans. But I'm gonna stick with the short sleeves, I'm sure. So yeah, that's that. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was that we have made it to 5,000 subscribers here on this channel, and it is all because of you, and I thank you so much, and I want to do a giveaway. If you are interested in receiving, there's going to be 2 prizes this time because I feel like 5,000 is a big deal, and so I just thought that there should be 2 prizes. So the first prize is going to be this sock set from Farmer's Daughter Fibers. And this was the June Sock Squad set, and this is the colorway Hawk Moon. And so this is the first prize. Along with that sock set, I am going to be making a Progress Keeper pine tree. Do one of these kind when you have it on your project, it just opens like that. So that is going to be with this sock set. And then the second prize is also going to have one of those pine tree progress keepers. But the second prize is a sock bag that I sewed a while ago when I was trying my hand at selling project bags. And this is a sock size bag with a gold zipper, and the inside fabric looks like this, and you can fold it down nicely and put your sock project in there. This bag, if you watch Natalie from Love and Stitches podcast, I'm so like proud, and pardon me while I gush about myself. She has purged a lot of her yarn, a lot of her tools, a lot of her project bags, and the bag that she purchased from me has made the cut over and over, and that makes me so proud, even though like I have no plans to sew bags again. But just that she's kept mine, it makes me so happy, and I see it every once in a while in some of her videos, and I think, hey, there's my bag. So, you know, if you want one, enter into this giveaway. If you are interested in receiving one of these prizes, please make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, that you like this video, and that you comment below with hashtag, I don't know what the hashtag should be. If you are interested in the bag, put hashtag SOCKBAG. And if you are interested in the sock set, put hashtag SOCKSET. If you are interested in both, like you don't care which one, then put both of them in your comment. I think that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about for now. I hope you enjoyed this, and I have a lot to do. I'll see y'all soon. Bye.